Alright, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. Been a minute since I uploaded. I want to talk today about camber adjustment, specifically about how to adjust your camber at home. So first, I guess we'll talk a little bit about camber and why you want it on your car or don't want it. So camber angle is basically the angle, if you're looking straight on at your car, like in this diagram here, it's the angle of the tire relative to a straight line, going up and down. So if your tires are tilted inwards, like you see stance guys doing, that's called negative camber. They're tilted outwards like this, which you don't see a lot. That's positive camber. Usually for racing, you want a little bit of negative camber. Depending on the tire you're running, you might want anywhere between 1 to 5 degrees, maybe even a little more. But it depends on the tire, depends on what kind of suspension you have, etc., etc. This video kind of assumes that you already know how much camber you want. Maybe you've read a bit on forums, or you've got a bit of experience and you know how much camber you want, but you want a way to adjust it at home without going to an alignment shop and spending a lot of money. Hence why this video is called How to Make Your Car Faster for Free, or almost for free. So you can see here, if you have too little camber, your tire folds under itself, and then you don't get as much grip as the tire could give you, because all the pressure and all the force from that tire is being exerted here and not on the inside of the tire. So if you have the tire loaded up with neutral camber, you might get a tire that looks like this, where all the pressure is on the outside. However, if you apply some negative camber now, and you now go around a corner really fast, you see that the force is more evenly distributed, because that tire can't fold under as much, because you have the tire, let's say the road's here, it's flat, right? Tire's like this. You go around a corner quickly, that tire starts to fold under, and then it goes flat. So as it folds under, and now it's now flat instead of just being all bunched up in the corner, and that gives you more grip. So how do you make something to give you this adjustment at home? I will show you. So this is what I came up with. This is actually credit where credit is due. I got this idea from Corksport. If you buy Corksport's camber arms for the Mazda Speed 3, the rear camber arms, it tells you in the back of the instructions that you can make the camber adjustment tool with basically a piece of steel or aluminum, preferably steel, I'll tell you why in a sec, and some drilled and tapped holes, as well as some bolts. And it looks like this. I have it right here. So kind of see that, just a bar of metal that I had laying around. It's got a bunch of holes in it, and then I got a magnetic level here, which, because it's steel, it sticks to, like that. So the way that this is going to work, you can kind of see here, I have the top bolt adjusted out farther than the bottom one, which means it's going to go this way in this case. And if you imagine you have your wheel right here, right? So imagine I have a wheel. Back this up a little bit so you can see. Imagine I have a wheel that's here, right? It's going up and down. What I can do is I can adjust these two bolts, right, through the threaded and tapped holes, such that this level becomes perfectly straight. Right? So I know that this bar of metal is now perfectly up and down. Then what you can do is you can take the difference between these bolts, the length rather, and if you take that difference and you take the distance between the bolts, you have two sides of a triangle. You can use that to get the angle down here, which is the camber angle that we're actually looking for. So I'll show you actually a little video of how I made such a device. Alright, so as you can see, I've taken this bar of steel, and what I'm doing is cutting its size. The length of it doesn't really matter, but you do want to make sure that you're cutting it to at least the diameter of your tire, not your wheel. That way, if you want to adjust the camber relative to your tire, you can. The important thing is that you cut it generously, so it's at least that diameter. And then you can drill holes wherever you want. I think I put them every 2 inches or so down the length of the bar, and then tap them. I use a 1/4-20 tap personally, and that gives you just a lot of flexibility in terms of what size tires or brake rotors you can use to do your camber adjustment. Here I'm drilling holes into it. Some drilling holes. Save a few inches here. I've got a few in the center for doing camber adjustment with the brake rotor, and some on the outside for doing it with the wheel. Obviously, one for the brake rotor, you would use a brake rotor adjustment if you had to do a camber adjustment with the wheel off and the car off the ground. If you had to do it with the car on the ground, then you would use the outer parts for adjusting. So, how I actually use this tool, you can see I've removed the back wheel because this is like impossible to adjust with cork sports camber arms with the car down and the wheel on. So what I did was I measured before I put the car on jack stands how far the distance from the center of the hub was to the top of the rear fender, and then I made sure to replicate that with the jack loading up the suspension. That way I'm at the same ride height while I make adjustments. As you can see, I'm lining it up on the rotor, and I'm just making sure that this level is showing me that it's perfectly level. And I'm adjusting those 2 bolts to do that. And as soon as I do that, I'm going to measure that top bolt, measure the bottom bolt, measure the difference rather measure the distance between the 2 bolts. I'll take the difference in length between the top and bottom bolts and then divide it by the distance between them, and then take the arc tangent of that, as you saw in a little bit earlier in the video, and I'll probably have up now again, and that's how you get your camber angle. So, very simple device, very cheap to make. You might actually have, a lot of you guys might have the stuff you need to make this already lying around. So, hope this video and information was useful to you guys, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments, and I'm sure myself or another commenter will get to it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.